Well, good morning, and of course to our viewers, you can see that the final preparations are well underway here at the Boksburg city centre as we are building up momentum to the much awaited and anticipated joint memorial service that is expected to take place here. This, of course, to pay tribute, to remember and to honor some of the victims of that fatal Christmas Eve blast that so far we know have claimed about 27 lives. Of course, also the heroes, the people, the men and women who sacrificed their lives trying to save many people as they were scrambling for help at that emergency hour when we saw the blast, obviously, that engulfed the plantation community, that truck, the gas tanker that exploded just next to the Tambo Memorial Hospital. Today, of course, another moment for families to gather, in particular those of the community members, but also the many workers, healthcare workers, who have also passed on as a result of this tragedy. We know at this juncture that about 13 of them have also died as a result of the blast. But to tell us more about the program, who will be here, what can we expect, I'm now joined by Mr. Mutalatale Mudiba from the Gauteng Health Department. Thank you so much for joining me. Just take us through what can we expect more or less, who are some of the leaders that will be part of the program here?
Thank you, Patricia. We're expecting the Minister of Health. We're expecting the MEC for Health and Wellness. We're expecting leaders from various labor movements. I know that the chairperson of DENOSA in Gauteng will also be part of the dignitaries that are speaking here. We also have religious leaders from various faith-based organizations that are going to also be part of the program. I know that there are some people from embassies, given that there were other nationals who were affected in the Boksburg explosion. So some of the embassies have indicated that they will be sending some representatives to also come in today. And of course, the families and the community at large, as you've already alluded. I think today marks another chapter from this particular incident, knowing that some of the families are actually burying today, others they will be burying tomorrow, and I think there's one family that's also burying on Sunday, on the 1st. So because of the nature of the incident, some families felt that they would not want to delay in terms of laying their loved ones to rest. And I think it's important that we respect that wish. And I think that's why government felt that it was important, having consulted with the families, to have this memorial service now before we go into the new year, given that many families had expressed that they would not want to cross over to the new year and still have to grapple again with the gruesomeness of what they've been going through. So I think this affords the families an opportunity for them to begin a process of closure. We know that it's going to be a long journey. We have availed our counseling services. Our social development department has actually availed social workers and psychologists who are working the journey with families. Not all the families obviously are accessing that service, because some have said they've got their own arrangements, but we have availed those services for all the families that are affected to ensure that we get to walk with them the journey. It's a very painful journey that we're going to be working with them with. And I mean we've had our own health workers that are affected just from Tambo Memorial Hospital, which is by the way, just a few kilometers from this particular venue where the memorial is being held. And I think even there, I was there yesterday, and you can see that the colleagues, they are still struggling. They're still grappling with what happened. I mean, to lose over 10 people at a go in the same facility, it is a heavy blow for us in the health sector.
The death toll, is there an update? Are we still standing at 27? Has it risen? Or can we expect perhaps another update?
There will be another update today. Just all I can confirm that it has risen. Hopefully in the engagements or in the speeches that are going to be given, there will be a further update in terms of where we're standing now. But it's certainly gone above the 27 that we had announced during the course of the week.
The Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has been very active when it comes to this particular incident. Is he expected to be here today?
I'm not so sure as to whether he's going to be here, but I know that his team is here and he's led from the front in terms of coordinating and ensuring that all of government entities, including the municipality here, are pulled together. We get to work as a team, and you can even see, even today here, the memorial is not just being held by the provincial government, but we're working closely with the city of Ekurhuleni as well, which has also been at the forefront in terms of engaging communities, availing resources, and making sure that those that needed emergency assistance get to be assisted. I mean, 8 of the firefighters who actually were affected are from the city of Ekurhuleni. We know that 4 of them have since been discharged, and the other 4, we are told that they are now at least, they suffered severe injuries, but we are told that they seem to be doing much better.
Some family members lost multiple of their loved ones. The shocking story of that distraught mother who lost 4 of her children. There are other family members as well. The father who lost his son and wife. The other gentleman who told us that he lost his brother and nephew. Those type of families, is government going to help them with any financial relief to help with the burial and so forth? Is there any, what type of help will be given or is available for those families?
Look, there's a basket of social interventions that are being made, led by the Department of Social Development, that includes needs analysis were done in terms of looking at the nature of the extent of the impact to different families, and based on that, government is interacting with those particular families. Some families, for example, they needed shelter, others they needed basic amenities, your food, your non-perishables, and then of course there is this whole process of now having to go through the claim processes and so forth, given the nature of the incident that has taken place, and we've availed some teams that are assisting families with that. It's not all the families that some families have indicated they've got their own insurances and so forth, they will go that particular route, but of course legally there's still those claims that perhaps will also still be made, and we have availed, government has availed people to assist those particular families in terms of just the process, explaining it and being able to direct them in terms of where they need to go. But in the immediate, we know that in the aftermath of what happened, many of the families would have sent lists of some of the things that they needed assistance with, and I know that majority of those things have been attended to. Many of the things included your basic things, your food, your access to your non-perishables and so forth. The issue of the repairing of homes and so forth, you know that some of the homeowners have got insurances, their own insurances will kick in and so forth, but through the support team that government has availed, there's continuous assessment in terms of where government can be able to intervene, working hand in hand with the respective families.
We've received, or rather I have received number of complaints from some of the health workers, not many, but those who did reach out, saying that they were not happy with the support that they were receiving. They felt that it was not enough. Some of them saying that they were expected to go back to work while they felt very heavy-hearted, they traumatized. So how is that going? Is there enough support given to the health workers at the Tambo Memorial Hospital, who might still feel that they are struggling to deal with what happened here, and they're struggling to cope at work? Those perhaps who still feel that they just need a little bit of a break.
Look, Patricia, I don't think there will ever be sufficient support, given the nature of this. I was there myself on the scene just a couple of hours after the incident happened, and I was myself shocked at the gruesomeness of the scenes that were on site, and I can imagine those that worked closely with the colleagues that passed on, that this must have hit hard. And we do understand that there is going to be a struggle. We have availed through our chaplaincy the counseling services on site at the facility. The team will be there throughout until we get to a stage where it's felt that the colleagues are able to cope a little bit better. But remember that we are not in a position where we can say completely let's shut down services. Remember that after the incident, you still had 321 patients who were in sections of the hospitals that are not affected. 42 of those, I think the number might be more, have since been released. So we've got over 270 or so patients that are still there. So we are going through a lot now. We are carrying a heavy burden, but I don't think we have the room to say let's just abandon ship, given that there are still over 270 more patients that are still reliant on us in terms of being able to continue rendering those services. It's not an easy task because I think it's a lot that is being demanded of us as frontline workers, and it's a burden that comes with the space that we're finding ourselves in. But I think the concerns that the healthcare workers are raising, those are genuine concerns, because you can't dictate to someone as to how must they process something like this. We're going to process it differently, but I think in the midst of that, we need to find a balance to ensure that we don't collapse the healthcare system, because there are still people that are still dependent on us. I think it's the same thing even in families. There are families where a mother's left behind and a daughter because the father and the son are no more.
But life needs to continue.
But at the end of the day, I think it's a very difficult moment. But we're depending on everyone, the support structure within communities as well, to just be more understanding. And I think we have to make a plea as well to people that will be coming to Tambo Memorial to receive services. At the moment, we know that we're on divert, meaning that we have tried to alleviate the pressure by ensuring that we don't receive more people to the hospital. We allow people that need service now to go to other facilities precisely because of what you've raised, that we then just take care of those that are there, and then we alleviate the pressure while the remedial work to get the facility back on track continues. I mean, we've lost about over 10 people in one facility. So that automatically tells you that there's going to be an impact, because that happens within a context where we're already strained from a healthcare system point of view. And I think we need to just plead with communities that bear with us. We are going through just a season now, and I think a little bit of understanding from the members of the public when they come to access services will go a long way as well in terms of sharing the health workers there, just to show that we know that you guys have gone through a lot, but you are still here rendering services, and we do appreciate the fact that you continue to move on in memory of those that have left us.
The Tambo Memorial Hospital also suffered severe structural damage. There's assessments that are ongoing. We saw, of course, the health minister also going there, making a walkabout, a tour through the hospital to assess the damage. Do we know where does it stand? I know he said that a full report is expected in perhaps a week or two. Do we have any update at this juncture?
You would recall that during this week, the MEC for Infrastructure Development, MEC Maile, did give an indication that they have received some preliminary report that was done by his team, and which was assessing the structural integrity of the areas that were affected, but also looked at a number of areas that needs to be worked on. You know that we currently don't have the accident and emergency, we don't have the X-ray department, we don't have the antenatal care. So those areas are being prioritized. But what is most important now is that the contractors are on site. They are currently fixing your broken windows, your doors, and your ceiling and so forth, while the other bigger work will then obviously follow suit in terms of what they're doing. The idea is that we need to get the facility obviously back in terms of those areas that are affected. We need the accident and emergency. We need your theaters to be able to function. At least with your antenatal, what we've done is that we've then diverted to Bethatloa, where mothers that have been coming to our clinic, they're able to go there to give birth, especially for your cesarean section operations. But on Wednesday, we resumed with just some of the classes for pregnant women at Tambo Memorial for them to be able to, especially those that have got appointments. We've said to them they can come based on their appointments, that they can be able to receive services. But the construction work on site has already started in terms of just ensuring that we start to fix those particular areas. The good thing is that when they were doing some assessments and they were checking some of the equipment, the flow of oxygen in the system there and so forth, those areas were not that affected, so we can still function there. But it's your hospital technology, your equipment that still needs to be obviously checked and recalibrated just to make sure that we can get the system back online. But we are dependent. Remember, for us as health, our primary concern is to obviously provide healthcare services, but there are other agencies of government that are responsible for your infrastructure development, and so that would be then obviously the ones that are responsible for ensuring that the facility gets to be attended to, and we can fix it as quickly as possible.
Just lastly, we are now on the road to closure, particularly for the families. It starts here, healing begins, but there's also mixed reactions in society about the truck driver who was released without being charged. For those who do not understand, who are saying, but this is unfair, what do you have to say to them, just so that they understand how the system works, perhaps how the criminal justice system works, if you can maybe intervene there?
Look, I think the Premier, when visiting one of the families, I think on Wednesday, he was asked the same question. I think he did indicate that we would have obviously loved things to be different, but I think it's important that we respect the laws of the land. There's a reason why the criminal justice system is structured the way it's structured, to ensure fairness of process, to ensure that ultimately you don't have a situation where an innocent person finds themselves behind bar, or a guilty person is outside, and so forth. So I think in law, what we are hearing from the legal experts, and also what the police have explained in NPA, is that this was done in the interest of justice, so that you don't infringe on the right of the driver, while at the same time you're trying to pursue justice. So it's important that you balance those two things. But they've not dropped the case, as in the case is now completely off the mark. What they've said is that they needed more time, because the current charges that they currently can prefer against him would not be sufficient if you were to add all the other things. And given the nature of the incident, it was important to allow for further evidence to be gathered. So I think we have to plead with the communities to be more understanding, to allow the process to unfold to its natural course.
All right, thank you so much there. Without wasting time, of course, we continue to monitor what is happening here as the momentum builds to this joint memorial service that is expected to take place. The scheduled time is around 9:30. We expect families to start streaming in. Until then, we toss it back to studio.